and then the doctor told me that we was going on a trip to New York. And my sisters, we do a weekend getaway. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna meet you guys there. They didn't believe me, but I did. I flew in to New York, came back home, but I noticed my feet were swelling, my arms were swelling, my face swole. And then the doctor said, Janice, when I got back, he said, you really need to come into the hospital. And I'm like, I don't have time, I gotta take a test, it's my final exam, blah, blah, blah. And so he kept saying, you need to come on in. And I was like, no. So I said, I gotta take my test. I'm at the very end of getting my master's degree. And so he called my sister and told her that we really need to get her into the hospital. So she walked me into the hospital. I walked in with no bag or nothing. I was like, we're gonna go in here and do this test and I'm gonna come right back out. Well, my sister said the lady told me I had renal failure when I was signing in. I didn't hear it. I never heard it. So we ran a lot of tests and I was in the hospital for a week. Doctor came in, Dr. Soto-Longo, he walked in. He was young then, it's been over 17 years ago. And so he came in and he said, young lady, you have renal failure. I said, renal failure? What you talking about? He said, kidney failure. I said, kidney failure? I said, I'm putting out buckets and buckets of urine. What do you mean I have kidney failure? And so he said, well, obviously that part of your kidney is working. And I said, well, I'm gonna kill myself. And he said, no, he said, no, you can't kill yourself. And I said, yeah, you're right. He said, you over there, I see you got the Bible over there, so you can't kill yourself. So I looked over the Bible, I said, yeah, you're right, I can't kill myself. And so from that point on, it was like, yeah, I know, I don't want to be a Judas. So, so anyway, I started finding out about what kidney failure was, what renal failure. Had no idea what it was. I was terrified when they started telling me I was going to go on dialysis. They brought these needles out. I said, I want to know everything you have. I need to talk to a nurse. I need to talk to somebody at the dialysis center. I need to find out everything. I didn't even know about the dialysis center. I said, I want to know everybody. Take me up to the unit. I need to know, because I didn't know what it was. So back then they didn't have TVs, and they had TVs, but they had VHS. They didn't even have it in the hospital room. So I had to get somebody to bring me a TV into the hospital so I could watch the VHS tape. VHS, y'all know what that is? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I'm just so I could watch the VHS tape about kidney failure. And so I watched the tape, read the books in the process while they was running all of these tests. And so once they figured out, once I said, okay, look, if I'm gonna do, you told me I could do peritoneal dialysis. Peritoneal dialysis is when they put and that's what Tavia is doing, they put a catheter in your belly, and you put fluid in, and you put fluid out, okay? I have a picture of the what it is on my phone. Well, during that process, I said, well, let me start peritoneal. In the meantime, put the fistula in my arm. If I'm gonna be knocked out, just do everything all at one time. Just cut me at one time so I don't never have to come back, for anything. So they put a fistula in my arm, they put the thing in my belly, and so I started peritoneal dialysis. I had to go back and finish my master's degree because I had stopped. So that's why instead of 2000, that's when I had renal failure. So I went back and finished in 2001. That's why I was in 2001. So what I want to tell you about, my presentation, in that little short time in 2000, in 2003, something happened to me. But first, I'm going to ask you a question. I just told you about a couple of types of dialysis. So you guys are all familiar with kidney dialysis. Raise your hand if you are familiar with that. Okay, I'm okay. Well, I'm going to keep on moving. And the first slide, which I'll let you know your kidneys in you. Okay, that was the first slide, your kidneys in you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that part. Now, 1 in 3 Americans are at risk of kidney disease. 1 in 9 Americans already have kidney disease. If we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm that person. Okay, so that's a true statement. And so we don't even have 18 people in here And so we already know that that's already a true statement, okay? Kidney disease is irreversible. Kidney disease kills more people than breast cancer, prostate cancer, and leukemia. Okay? That's that slide. This is some words. Okay. Another part, did you know, was patients with end-stage renal disease are at a higher risk of increase of cancer, 10 to 80% at their chance of having cancer. This is higher than the general population. Cancer risk was higher for certain patients on dialysis. I started dialysis in 2000. The people that are at risk on dialysis are senior, men, non-Caucasian, that's me, non-Hispanic, thank you, that's me, that's 2. People without diabetes, that's 3, that's me again. New dialysis patient, that's me again. And transplant candidate, that's me. I was all those people. So in 2003, and this is from the Renal and Urology News. In 2015, they did an article. I had no idea, by being on dialysis, that I was more prone to get cancer. Well, every year, when you're for a transplant workup, they have you do a breast test. They have you do the mammogram. They have you do all the women tests. Then they have you do a stress test, an EKG, an echo, all these other tests, just so they can see if you're worthy to get a transplant. Well, in the process of getting my mammogram, they saw something in my left breast. And I was like, oh man, what is it? So they went in, they did the biopsy, they say, well, it's just a little bit of something there. And I was like, really? I said, I want a transplant. I want to get a kidney transplant. Go ahead and just take it off. And then the doctors was like, oh yeah, this is something that happens. And now that I did this research, I understand why they was like, oh well, yeah, this happens. Most kidney patients, I was a new kidney patient. I wasn't on diabetes. I had renal failure because of hypertension. My mom and my dad had hypertension. I was at the age of 18, I remember Dr. Charles Chris, the senator's dad. I remember he was my doctor. I remember going on high blood pressure medicine then. Well, when I went to New York, when I went for my test, before I left New York, the doctor changed my medication. The medication that he gave me for my high blood pressure, because it kept going up and up. I didn't know. I just knew the doctor was just telling me, okay, you're gonna be fine. You got a little protein in your urine. It's gonna be okay. Hello, that's the first sign of renal failure. I didn't know. He was very laid back. I took, that was then when you take a doctor's, we was raised a doctor, the preacher, those, they take their word is gold. Oh, not no more. So, so when he told me that, 6 months later, it was Easter, that's when we flew to New York. That's when I had renal failure. 6 months, exactly 6 months after that. That's when he should have referred me to a nephrologist. That's when he should have said, I was losing weight. Well, you lost weight, you're losing weight. Now he should have went to that. But he was like, a little protein, nothing to be concerned about. Well, now I was on dialysis. I was in my 3rd year of being on dialysis, which I was new. I told you about all those things I had. I was new. Now they say I had breast cancer. So I went in, did a biopsy. During the biopsy, they did they don't remove all of the breast. What they call it?
Lumpectomy.
A what? Lumpectomy. Okay, thank you. So they did the lumpectomy, and the doctor that did the surgery left a bleeder, a little capillary open. In that process of leaving that capillary open, I kept bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. On the inside, blood wasn't coming out nowhere. And it was like I was getting bigger and bigger. My breast swole, my face swole, my arms swole. Well, the doctor was saying that did the surgery, they're giving you heparin. That's a part of dialysis in the dialysis machine. I said, I'm not getting any heparin. The nurses was getting upset because naturally after a surgery, a major surgery, they never give anybody heparin because you will bleed. Duh. So, so his thing was they're giving me heparin. So he would never come see me. In the process, I kept bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. So my nephrologist kept me alive. I did dialysis sometime every day, twice a day. They would give me 3 units of blood. The next day, I would drop. The next day, they give me 2 more units of blood. The next day, I drop. They give me 4 more units of blood. The next day, it'll drop. In the meantime, I kept getting bigger and bigger because the blood, it was between my skin, the inner layer of my skin and the fat cells or whatever the cells are. So one day I was like, so my nephrologist, after I had almost 27 units of blood, 27 units of blood and so much plasma, the doctor said, this is getting ridiculous. Something went wrong in your surgery. We have to go back and the doctor has to see what happened. Well, in that process of him going back, he didn't want to admit because he thought it was the heparin. So the doctor gave me some terms, told me to call administration, gave me the terms to say, told my sister to call administration and said, do you want me to sue you now, or you want to figure out what's wrong with my sister, because if something happened, I'm going to own St. Andrew's Hospital. Okay? So during that process, we went through, and I remember the doctor coming in, and so the administration made the doctor come see me. That was after over a week or 7 days, and I had all of these blood transfusions. So what I did to have a total mastectomy, to have my breast removed, so I wouldn't have signs of cancer, so I could get the transplant, what I did to help me ended up hurting me. Because when you get so many blood transfusions, that makes your antibody level high, so that if your antibody level is high, you'll reject the kidney. So it was hard to find a match. So what I did to help me in 2003 ended up hurting me because the doctor made a mistake. He ended up, to make a long story short, he ended up going back into surgery. I had to pray with him. He walked in and he tried to say I had Wells-Williams disease, a bleeding disorder. I cussed the oncologist out and said, get out of here, y'all found some casebook study that a word to kind of match my symptoms. And lo and behold, when he did go in, he did find that he left a little capillary that was just bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. Well, that took place. So now, 2003, 4, 5, I'm on dialysis all this time, waiting, doing transplant workup, trying to get a transplant. Then, went to Disney World, and I said, oh, my leg is hurting so bad. My kidney was already shot, so started taking ibuprofen. I was taking 10, 20 hours. My leg was in pain. I'm talking about pain. And one of the things, one of my next slide is the causes of that can lead to kidney failure is when you take ibuprofen. My kidneys was already gone, so I didn't have to worry about it, all right? So if you take over medication like Aleve, not Tylenol, Aleve, what's the other one? Advil and other medicine like that. Yes, they can lead to renal failure. I'll get to that later. Well, in the process, my leg, so they did a CAT scan and all of this stuff. Ended up doing a regular X-ray. They realized I had plasmacytoma in my left femur, which, when I told you those causes of the cancers, getting cancer by being on dialysis, well, that's a bone cancer that was in my left femur. My left femur was oozing plasma out of my thigh, out of the bone, which that's what was causing the pain. Well, in that process, I had to go to oncologists. I went to Bayfront. I did the radiation. They just did the radiation treatment. The radiation treatment healed me. So that was another thing that stopped me from getting on the transplant list. Because once you get on, you can't, with any cancers, you have to wait so many years before they realize that it's cleared up. I think it's 3 to 4 years before it's cleared up before you can get on the transplant list. So I had plasmacytoma. I never forget, it's a doctor, it's an oncologist, he's not there anymore. He was an older guy, and he had to do when they go on your back, and when they have to stick that needle in your back to see if you have bone cancer and go into your bone marrow. I never forget that day, but he was so nice and so sweet when he went in. They did, they go in and they tap it in, and oh my God, some of the things that you go through. And end up doing radiation treatment. During the radiation treatment, I ended up getting burned. Well, this is my very first time doing radiation. I didn't know. Okay, I know now. And I was like, doctor, right below because it was right here in my femur. And quite naturally, when you do radiation, it burns on the opposite side. So we know, right? So when it burned, I was like, I got a burn. And the doctor said, well, of course, what do you expect? I was like, what? What did you say? By then, I had been educated, okay, on doctors and what I'm supposed to be treated like and all of this. So I said, okay, once I get this done, you will never see me again. And so that's when I started going to Moffitt and doing all of my yearly tests over in Moffitt. So when I saw these statistics about being new to dialysis and all of the things that can happen, non-diabetic, I had hypertension, that's just why I was on dialysis, and I had all of these things, so 10 to 80% chance of getting cancer, and that's when I realized that a lot of dialysis patients, when you have the Sisters of Compassion, we share a lot of the same things. Even though it might be cancer for you on dialysis, your immune system is so compromised that anything can go wrong. Okay, what you will learn, I'm gonna go back to my slides. Fast forward. So I did have plasmacytoma. The radiation cured that, and that was fine. What do kidneys do? Why kidneys are so important to your health, what kidney disease is, and who is at risk.
Hi, Mr. Rakins.
Come on in. Taylor, you can move the person. Okay, I got this one example of what kidneys and what they do. The human body has two kidneys. Everybody know they got two kidneys, right? Okay, and they're right below the rib cage, right there. That's when you go to the doctor and stand up for a second. And the doctor is all like, do you feel anything here? Do you feel anything here? They're checking your kidneys, okay? You're supposed to say no. Sit down. Okay? Yeah, you need to say no unless it's really hurting you, okay? Each kidney is the size of your fist. Try to make a fist the size of you. Each kidney weighs about 5 ounces. They are located near the middle of your body, just below your rib cage. One healthy kidney can do the work of 2. Okay? And I have a kidney transplant. We'll talk about that later. How do kidneys keep you healthy? They remove waste, we know that. They balance your fluid. They help control your blood pressure. They regulate your hormones. They keep your bones healthy, which we know about the bone. I had the bone, so if I had kidney failure, that's why I had the plasmacytoma. They balance the minerals in your bodies, and they help make red blood cells. A lot of people don't realize that your kidney, every 3 days, you make new blood cells, okay? Every 3 days, your body regenerates 3 new blood cells, all right? That's right, that's just word. The blood enters the kidney. I'm going to tell you how your kidneys work. They enter the kidney through the arteria from the heart. The blood is clean, passing through the billions of tiny blood filters called nephrons. Nephrons remove or filter out waste products, ultrafluid from the blood. Waste is changed into urine. Urine is stored in your bladder. When the bladder is full, urine is passed away. Newly clean blood goes up to the veins back into your circulation system. Okay, so that's a picture of your blood circulating in the kidney and what they do. What is kidney disease? Well, when kidneys no longer work properly, a serious disease that lead to heart and blood vessel problems, kidney failure, and ultimately can lead to death. Most people, when you see a lot of people eating ice, that's a sign of most kidney patients love to eat ice. Oh man, I was an iceaholic. I would just go and I was going. Sonic has the best ice. Okay, and this was before my kidney. Before I was on, when I was on dialysis, and before I knew about I had kidney disease. I would just love ice, 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 ice. Well, when you're anemic, your body is trying to replace the fluid, the blood, with the ice. So this is why we eat so much ice, because you're lacking the blood, so your body is trying to replace it with the ice. So that's why you have an ice craving, okay? So that's just a little tidbit thing like that, all right? You are at risk if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, a family history of kidney disease, diabetes or high blood pressure, if you are an African American, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific Islander, or Native American. If you're over 60 or older. Frequent uses over the counter NSAIDs, pain relievers such as ibuprofen, and other kind of things. We already talked about that. All right. And we know Aleve, Motrin, Advil. You can protect your kidneys by living a healthy lifestyle. Eat less salt and fat. I love turkey. Turkey is my friend. Boy, I love to cook my collard greens with turkey now. All right. I like turkey bacon now. I like turkey meatballs now. You know, and then I'm starting even turkey hot dogs. Now at the school we have so many kids that are allergic to everything because parents, you know, they don't eat a lot of things while the baby's in the womb. I'm not in the womb, but in the belly. It starts out in the womb. But but the parents don't realize that if they're not eating it, the baby is gonna be allergic to it. I mean, it's like we have some. Oh, my kid can't drink milk. Did you drink milk? No. My kid is allergic to this. My one kid is allergic to beef, but not pork. Okay. So now I just said, well, I'm gonna kill it all and just buy turkey everything. All right. So that's one way. Exercise, lose weight if you're overweight, and don't smoke. All right. And guess what? We're at the end of my presentation. So what I was going to say is, during those times of being on dialysis, I was on dialysis from 2000 to 2013, December 12, 13, 13. What happened, I was on all of the transplant lists. I got on Gainesville, I was in Tampa General, and I was on Miami. Because they had did so many blood transfusions on me, which is the reason why I had to wait so long. But I thank God for that, because in the process of waiting, technology is growing. And because of all the technology that's happening, I was able to find out, going to an AAKP workshop, about plasmapheresis. Plasmapheresis is something that they do, and it's like a miracle drug now, where they can lower your antibody levels. I found out about that where, because I had all of those blood transfusions, even when you go in the hospital, you know, you're bound to get on dialysis, you're gonna get blood transfusion. It's just part of the being on dialysis. So in all, I had over 30 some blood transfusions. So they because I was such a high risk, they started doing the plasmapheresis. Miami did. When they was giving me the anesthesia, I was so bloated and so full, and they couldn't get the vein in, that it went in between the veins. I mean, I fell out and knocked out, but and then I hit my phone under the UK doing the surgery. I hit my phone under my thigh, so when my sister called me in surgery, the phone rang, so the phone woke me up. They stood up and looking at me. I'm looking at them, and they was like, Miss Starling, is that a phone? Yeah, is that a phone? Is that a phone? I'm like, yeah, my phone is ringing, I gotta get it. They was like, girl, you better go back to sleep. Somebody hit me on the head. No, they didn't do that. So it was towards the end of the surgery that I woke up. But where was I? So in the process of getting the plasmapheresis, I did that for almost a year and a half, almost 2 years. The nurse would come from Miami, come to my house, and she would have all of this clear stuff in this these bottles. She would hook it up to, what I was saying is, because I was a hard stick, I ended up getting a metal port. Okay? If you're on dialysis or anything, I saw it in the thing, it's like I get so sick of having the phlebotomist, the guy that does the blood, who they call it? The phlebotomist, have to come and find my veins. And so he would have the machine and be trying to find, oh, we got it. Oh, no, we don't got it. Oh, we got it. No, we don't got it. And and it's like you get 2 times, I would tell somebody, you get 2 times to stick me, and that's it. That's it, that's it. Because it's just torture. You feel like a human pincushion being stuck all the time. So I went and got a metal port. I had the doctor one time when I was having surgery. I said, look, since I'm under again, put this in me. He said, you want this? I said, I want this. So I got the metal port, which was good. God didn't know. He knew why I needed it, because he knew I was going to be getting the plasmapheresis and later on in life so that I can get the kidney transplant. So I got the plasmapheresis. Me and my husband would drive down to Miami. They would check me, no, it's coming down, but not enough. We did that for almost a year and a half, 2 years. Then I ended up getting a call on December 13. Went down to Miami. I ended up getting a kidney transplant. Well, actually, they don't do a transplant, they do an implant. When they put the kidney in you, it's an implant, like I said. They put it closer to the bladder. It's right, my kidney is right here. Right here. They put it right to, because they found out that when they tried to put it back here, which is why I said God knew I needed to wait, because I can have the best kidney and the best transplant. The guy was 30 years old. Thank you, young man, for being an organ donor. He was 30 years old, and I received his kidney, and they put it right here. They realized when they tried to put it here, the distance to the bladder, they realized that the tube that they was putting in the person's body was getting infected. So it was causing a lot of problems. So what they did, they started technology. They ended up saying, hey, why not put it close to the bladder? So they put it here, so the tube connected the kidney to the bladder. It's about that big. So they just put it close to the bladder. So it's not a transplant, it's an implant. So my kidney is here. My kidney name is Glory. I called it because it's a glory, it's a miracle, really. And to be able to have a kidney and a chance of life, and somebody that was 30 years old end up filling out an organ donor card. Now, when did they do that? When it was at the driver's license? When did this young man had a chance to do this to save my life? To give me a second chance at life? And for him to be a match, the doctor was like, we're going to find your kidney. We're going to find your kidney. We're going to find I got called the first time, I'll never forget. I got called for a transplant. I had the Angel flight, took me to Miami. I took out my suitcase and stuff, took me to Miami. I went in the hospital room. They drew about 30 tubes of blood. And the nurse, it was so funny, the nurse was like, we need to get blood. Where are we going to get it from? I said, look, if you close your eyes and get me, I brought my needles with me from dialysis. I said, if you close your eyes, I will stick my fistula and you can get your blood. And she said, I can't do that. I said, you can't do that, but I can do that. So I because when I did home hemo, I did all different types of dialysis. I did in-center, I did the peritoneal, and I did home hemo, where you do the dialysis at home. And I would stick the needles in my arm myself, because I wouldn't trust, even in the center I learned how to stick myself. Because I wouldn't trust, I don't see so many people get needles and they'll blow and all of this and stuff. So and she was like, wow. So she walked out the room and then she came back and she was like, I'm not supposed to do this. I said, it's okay. You need the blood and I want a kidney. So the first time, so I sat in the hospital until about 12 or 1 o'clock. This little doctor came in and said, Miss Starling, you know what? You're not a match. You can go home now. I said, do you think I'm gonna leave Miami 12 o'clock at night and just start walking the streets and catch a cab and go back to the airport? I said, you crazy. I said, I will stay here until I find your way home. And so he was like, okay, well, you can stay as long as you like. I said, thank you very much, I will. So I got called the first time. The second time I got called by Tampa General. Tampa General called me, But 3 weeks before I got called, I had my breast reconstruction in 2006. I went to Moffitt with Dr. Paul Smith. It was like, okay, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm ready to get my new breast, and I want to, just experiment it. And he kind of did it as a pro bono. He took my Medicare and said I didn't have to pay for nothing. So I had my breast reconstruction, and I said, well, let's do saline because I don't want the implant. I don't want nothing to happen. Still kind of scared and stuff. And so 2 weeks before they called me, 3 weeks before, it was about a month before they called me, my breast went down. The saline just went down. So I had to go back into the hospital, and have another surgery where they can, and I said, well, go ahead and put the saline in now. Go ahead and do the regular breast implant. So he went ahead and did the regular breast implant. But because I had the surgery, I couldn't get the transplant from Tampa General. Okay, because it was too fresh. Okay, because you go on anti-rejection medicine and the wounds were still open and all of this, so they didn't want anything to happen. So I was like, oh. So then that's when I got called at 12/13 of December, and that's when I got my kidney transplant. We had to live in Miami. My church ended up donating a lot of money for me to stay in a hotel. Family and friends helped out. I stayed in Miami. I stayed in a hotel for about 3 months because you have to go to the doctor Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when you first get your transplant. And I just thank God because now I can cook a meal in the microwave. You won't even know it's in the microwave. I'm living in a hotel. So, it's been a road of ups and downs, and it's been a road of a lot of different things happening with the plasmacytoma, with the cancer, with the breast, and all those things happening. But God always, and my favorite verse is Romans 8:28. All things, and I mean all things, work together for the good, for those who are called according to God's purpose. And for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. I know I love the Lord, and I know I was called. So I had to go through peritoneal so I can talk to somebody about peritoneal dialysis. I had to go through in-center dialysis so I could talk to somebody about being on in-center dialysis. I had to go to home hemo so I could tell somebody, you can do it. You can stick yourself. Learn to cannulate. Learn to do your needles. I had to do that. I had to go through the blood transfusion. I had to go through when you get the radiation. So I could tell somebody with cancer, you're going to get burned. And it's a cream now. They have a cream that can help you. I had to go through that so that I can go and help other people and help other patients for All Kidney Patient Support Group. And to be an organ donor, the young man that saved my life. And that's one of the things in our African American community and the Hispanic community, they don't believe in being organ donors. They don't believe in saving somebody's life. Just think if that young man hadn't done that, I wouldn't be standing here. Or I'd still be on dialysis or something else. God had it with that. But to be an organ donor, how many of you are organ donors on your driver's license? You don't have to raise your hand. That's good. But if not, sign up. Her son got a heart transplant. Because what? An organ donor. All right? I got a kidney transplant because of organ donor. So all that old superstition, all those old things we was raised with, that the doctor and the preacher tell you everything, don't question them. You better question them. You better study to show yourself approved, for approved workman is not ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. That's what the Bible says. You need to rightly divide the truth in everything. In your taxes, in your health, in everything. Okay? And then what I came with, I'm leaving with. Let it go. Let it go. Who saved us? What did they have to do in order for us to be saved? He had to what?
Down the cross.
So that we could be saved. That young man had to die so that I could be saved. If you know anybody that's not an organ donor, please fill out the card. Okay? Save a life. Thank you. Wow.